Well, the U.S. military says it struck 3 radar sites in Yemen Thursday in response to missile launches from territory controlled by Houthi rebels that targeted U.S. Navy destroyer. The U.S. Navy released video of the launch of the Tomahawk cruise missile from the destroyer USS Nitze. The Pentagon says the missiles targeted radar sites along Yemen's Red Sea coast north of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Now, the statement says destroying the radar sites will degrade the ability to track and target ships in the future. A Pentagon spokesman described the strike as self-defense after a missile fired in the Red Sea on Wednesday targeted the destroyer USS Mason. The ship was not hit and there were no injuries. Meanwhile, an airstrike on a funeral gathering widely blamed on Saudi-led warplanes poses more trouble for a Western-backed Arab campaign against Yemen's Houthis that has long been criticized for civilian losses. Now, the White House has launched an immediate review of its support for the 18-month-old military push after planes hit mourners at a community hall in Sana'a last Saturday, killing 140 people. That's according to one UN estimate. Mohaldeen Faoud has this report from Sana'a.
It was a funeral that became a funeral of mourners. There is still hope to find mourners who survived inside one of the halls that is considered to be one of the largest convention centers in Yemen. At least 140 people were killed and more than 500 were badly injured. It was the latest in an increasing number of attacks targeting places commonly used by civilians. Saudi Arabia is requesting an inquiry into this matter. Whatever the target of this attack, the result has been the high cost paid by civilians. Hospitals in Sana'a city, the capital of Yemen, are filled with wounded people and they are making urgent pleas for blood donation as hospitals are trying to manage without medical supplies. We were inside the hall giving our condolences, and suddenly the first missile hit inside, followed by the second one. People were killed, and I was in a coma, but awoke at hospital. A country with 26 million citizens with some of the highest rates of poverty in the Arab world is dealing with a barrage of attacks on civilian homes. People who had survived from poverty and lack of medical care could now be killed at any time by a missile. Citizens are appealing to stop this disaster. I appeal everyone who has the power, including all human rights organizations, to make a plea to stop this attack on men, women, and children. Due to this crisis in Yemen, people were forced from their homes and now find themselves displaced. One such example is the Darwan camp for people displaced by the airstrikes. People flee to this camp to survive. However, they were confronted by a potential killer at the camp, a lack of food and sanitary surroundings. In addition, the children are suffering from malnutrition. Winter is coming, and the camp residents are suffering from the cold weather and pleading for help from international organizations.
Well, for more discussion on Yemen, VOA's Kala Bab joins me live via Skype from the Pentagon. Kala, now this strike, this Thursday strike, is the first really very direct strike against the Houthi-controlled territories there. What is the significance here?
Well, that's right, Vincent. I think the significance is this is a very clear message from the Pentagon that no one in Yemen should be targeting any ships that are in international waters. This is significant because normally the United States targets AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Up until now, that's who they've been targeting in Yemen. The shift was made because this was given a specific instance to protect and defend the ships there. It was authorized by the president. It was done on the recommendation of the Secretary of Defense. And as you and I were talking about yesterday, the United States is not at war with the Houthis. The United States is at war with Al-Qaeda and with the Islamic State. So there had to be a special authorization to allow them to strike these specific areas that were a part of the strikes, the attempted missile launch against the USS Mason.
And Indeed, there was that emphasis on the limited nature of this strike. But, Carla, we have reports now that Iran has also sent warships to that region. Is there a danger here? Is anybody talking about a danger of an escalation of hostilities, especially among the major players there, the big powers?
Well, U.S. officials that I've spoken with here are telling me that the United States military does not want or desire any additional role in this conflict in Yemen. That is not the desire. That is why these were so limited, and that is why they were proportional, as one U.S. official told me, to what had happened to the USS Mason. They targeted these 3 radar sites because those were the ones that painted the USS Mason and allowed those missiles to try to target them. So when everything was finished up and when they were able to stop these missiles from hitting, that was what they wanted to do, send a small message and no more.
Carla, thank you very much for your reporting.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's our viewers, Carla Babb, reporting live via Skype from the Pentagon.